Okay, so we're going to go into my phase of recording my podcast. Hello. This is Ruth. I am your host from Strike University. And I will be sharing today about, I'm not sure why my PC keeps doing that, but I'm recording it at the same time because I want to release it in my YouTube. But this is what I'll do for now. We'll just keep recording, and then as soon as it stops, then I'll go again. So here we go. So hello. This is Ruth Sines. I am your host from Strike University. Basically, my podcast is about bringing people together about how to get away from the darkness, how to get away from being stuck in the same place, not moving forward, not moving to the next project, and just being away from everybody when you should be getting help or you should be just more mentally tough. Now, that's going to be very hard to do because we are not trained that way. Maybe we are trained as our childhood to go ahead and hide our feelings or don't cry or things that our parents do that affects us later on in life. So I am 34 now, but in my 30s, I was going through a lot at adversity. And this is why this podcast has been built. And I think me sharing my journey has been a big project of mine. How did this came about? So I'm going to go back to the basics. This is what this whole podcast is going to be about today. Back to the basics. I was around 25 when I got in my second relationship. And these were long relationships where I had two kids from two different persons. So the first one was a stage in my life where I was around 15 to 23 and then 25 to 30. Now, I have four amazing daughters and I am blessed for them every day. But I could say that with that being said, I'm going to plug in my computer because it's low on battery. With that being said, I started doing things where I wanted to basically learn and grow, but I wouldn't allow myself because I was stuck. So how does that look like now? So now looking back, I was very desperate for my husband's attention. He would go outside and, they call it a smoking break or go get a beer. And I was home stuck with the kids and cleaning and after work. And then keep in mind, I had a healthcare career where I was working. Amazing job, but I was working myself 6 in the morning, getting there and, getting prepared for a 9 a.m. shift and going through everything prior to that and leaving home late and then traveling. I had like 2-hour travels. And I met this guy because I was in the health and wellness industry. I was very fit and I was happy. And he was younger, of course. And I moved to Covina and I started life, had enough in savings. I had a nice condo and was living fine with my kids, great friends. But at the same time, I did had influence of friends that just loved going to West Hollywood and partying and just hanging out or traveling and just getting wasted. And you could obviously see all kind of drugs with those kind of people as well. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just trying to explain my story. From there, it was during my travel where I found a podcast. I never knew what a podcast was until I was in my 30s. Keep in mind, I'm 34, so basically 3 years ago. And in this podcast, it's called the MLS show, and he was interviewing Blake, which she's the owner of Spanx. And I was hearing her story, and in her story, she was talking about how she was in her closet and putting things on there where she was building what she wanted to build and her creativity and whatnot. And I heard that story 3 times a day, and I was crying because inside me, I had something that I wanted to grow. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to do something with my life. And coming up, I wasn't able to do it because of a lot of different issues that I will discuss in different podcasts. When I only admit childhood and then just go to that one and you understand. And then I'll do a teenage one and then I'll do the 20s. But basically, I lost my light. And as I lost my light, I understand now that I was looking for something more. And I think sometimes we don't mention broken relationships at all because we think we understand what they are, or we think with therapy we know what they are. But in reality, is that sometimes people like me that were fatherless their whole life are looking for the male figure that's going to protect them, love them, hold them, accept them for who they are, be there for them, do not let them down, make them shine, congratulate them. And that was me looking for that. And I didn't understand that until a year ago, last year, 2022. How did I come to understand that? Maybe I could help you. So the way I came to understand that is, what is it that I do as a mother that my mother didn't do? That was one of the points. And I'll explain that pretty soon. A second point is, what is it that I don't like to do as a mother because my parent didn't do it with me? That's my second point. So let's go to point one. What is it that I love to do? I love telling my kids how much I love them, expressing myself, how important they are to me, how they're willing to do anything in life, how they shouldn't accept how others treat them bad, and how they shouldn't allow themselves to cut themselves short with the dreams and think big. That's like my priority line with number one. My second one is, I realized my mother never played with me. So when my kids want to play, I'll play with them. But I used to get bored. I'll be like, okay, you go play with your sister, or you go play over there. And it's kind of sad when I started thinking back, like, my mother didn't play with me. And it's nothing that it was her fault. It's just she got here as an immigrant in 1988, and she had me, and she didn't know English, and she didn't know how to really take care of a kid besides go work hard to provide for me. So forever grateful for that. Now, if you put one and two together, it makes you realize as a parent what you're not going to do, right? You start putting some certain standards. And the problem with me going back to this relationship is that I put my standards very low when I had high standards when I met the guy. I had high standards that I wouldn't honestly have sex with anybody until it was 3 months into the relationship that I liked them. I wouldn't date anybody that wasn't in the same pain cycle as me. And I didn't want to date somebody that didn't have kids. And that was my mentality at 24. And this guy, he was just, very fit, same level mentality as me, and very charming. And I got a connection with him. Honestly, it was a huge mistake, but I learned from my mistakes. I had 2 amazing children. I got married for 8-9 months. I learned a lot about men through him. And I am forever thankful for him because we have a great friendship now, that I've moved past on what happened in our relationship. But honestly, going back, I gave up my standards. I lost all my money. I went in debt. My credit score went down. I didn't feel pretty anymore. I gained a lot of weight and got very comfortable. I stopped working out, which was one of my major topics, and everything. It was like my world. I was working out like Monday to Sunday. I was like in this like events where you'll go and have like a group beach body working out like 3 times a week. I used to go hiking 2 times a week. I used to go running every day. And then I used to do weights in between. So I was always active. I don't know what happened. So call it love, I guess. And then he didn't destroy me with words. The way he destroyed me was by cheating. And I'm pretty sure a bunch of you probably relate to that. And yes, we could forgive them and whatnot. But honestly, like, I forgave a lot. I've cried a lot. And I accepted a lot less than what I should have been doing. So now, 34, life is different. I'm connected with choice number one with my children, where I'm able to still show them, that I love them, tell them that I love them, tell them that they could do anything, and show up for them and give them their standards and want to accept or not. And I am that parent that if my kid does not want to share something, they don't have to share it. It's theirs for a reason. They could be nice, polite, but they don't have to share. And then 2, where things I didn't used to do because it wasn't done to me, I want to do to them. What do I want to do? I want to transfer wealth. I want to create generational wealth. I want them to have real estate in their life. I want them to know about investments. I want them to understand my business with insurance. I want them to release a podcast, speak up in the world out there as an advocate for women, projects, math, whatever it is that their heart desires. But I don't want them to stay still and silent and to just listen. So with this podcast, where I was going with basically is, eliminating distractions was one of my best podcasts, but how do we execute that? Well, I started realizing, because on my life, I've gone homeless one time, not on purpose, but because I didn't have savings and I didn't have the credit score. What did that do? My closest friends that were supposed to be my friends helping me out, judged me. My other friends, they just enjoy it, I guess. And then you have in between the friends that are really there for you and family, right? But the first time I did get turned away with family. The reason I'm releasing this now is because I want you to understand that I've been there, done that. And now I understand how you're able to actually transform it. What do? You try to write down your cycle in every area of your life. So let's write down the cycle in family. Family, I had a mistake that I made with the wrong choice. And now moving forward, I know what kind of different person I'm going to get with, involved, and allowed in my space and my kids' space, because my kids are my priority. Which, let's go back in order. It's going to be God, myself, my kids, and then my partner. Now, if a partner comes and plays where he's able to be my partner, then he will be in a priority because my kids will have to align with him. But that's not the case right now. That's number one in family, right? Keeping our standards, keeping my kids educated, going to the next level regardless of what situation. 2, finances. Okay, my finances have been up and down. I educate people on finances, but my finances have been like this. My mentor could pledge for me, my family could pledge for me, my daughters could definitely pledge for me, and my advisor could pledge for you for me. So what I understand is, how do I break the cycle? Breaking the cycle starts with me. What did I do last year? What did I do the 2 years prior to now? So when you hear that saying of, where do you want to be 5 years from now? You got to really pay attention to that. So what does that mean? Well, take a picture and imagine yourself 5 years from now. What have you accomplished? What did you study? How much did you save? And I'm not saying save money in the bank. I'm talking about save money in an insurance policy that's going to grow your money at 5 to 8%. That's all I educated. So that's what I mean by savings, just to be clear. Investments, that's another one. Real estate is another one. Okay. And then you're going to sit down and back engineer your plan and actually find out, what is it that I repeated the last 2 years? When you repeat that, you're able to see where your finances are. And you know what? I repeated something this year. My lease was not renewed. So right now I will probably be staying in Airbnbs with my families and with family until I get accepted in an apartment. But what does that have to do with this? Well, think about it. With the cycle that I repeated, it's not that I didn't save. It's not that I'm doing wrong with my finances because I've tripled my money. It's not that I've chose the wrong partner because I don't have a partner for the last 2 years. And it's not that I'm doing anything wrong, but my past mistakes 5 years ago, remember the picture? Are determining my future right now. So I'm almost done to the point where I'm at the last leg of that mistake that I made years ago. So my credit score jumped up like 40, 60 points. I'm about to get my credit card this week. I'm about to start renting a car. I'm going to get into an apartment regardless of whatever it is. I will figure it out. But just as an example, why I brought that up is because we're not able to just walk in anywhere without good credit. We're not able to walk into anywhere just because you have money. You have to have an identity in the credit world that tells the other person, whether it's a employer, business, insurance, flights, I don't know. There's a lot of things that determine your credit score. So you got to make sure you're in alignment with that. And just learning from our mistakes. and making sure we don't have a cycle is going to allow us to grow in the future. So now when I take that picture of 5 years from now and what is it, 2027? I think it's going to be a whole different story from what you see now. So writing down your goals, it's very essential. I used to call them intentions, but now I understand you have to have intentions with action. You can't just write down a goal and repeat it every day and it's going to magically appear. No, you do write it down every day and you do say it every day, but then you have a plan of action that's going to lead to that goal. So when we start attacking our plan every day and waking up every morning with the intention to attack that plan, you know where you stand 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and even next week. And how does that help you? It helps you build an identity. So now I have a higher identity of who I am. I'm back to my standards. I know who I want and don't want to date. I know what I bring to the table for my kids. I know that my savings is going to a separate different way with my policies. I know my net worth will be up. I know my podcast is up and now I'm going to be doing these videos for you. And I know that I'm able to just learn and approach and take action and show others how to do it. And that was the whole purpose of my podcast today, just to let you know that we all been there where we've gotten cheated on, we gotten stepping over, we've lost friends, we've, created these thoughts in our brain. And it really starts with you starting to identify what's wrong, the cycle you don't want to repeat, and take that picture of 5 years from now. After you take that picture of 5 years from now, ask yourself, where do I want to be 5 years from now? Let's say you want to finish med school. It takes 4 years, right? Let's say you have a master's and it takes 4 years. Then what school are you going to get to the med school? How many months are you going to be in school? What weekends are you going to take off? What trips are you not going to take? Stuff like that. You have to back engineer. I know you hear it a lot from people. I hear it from my mentors all the time. But that's honestly been the best thing that's worked for me. And now I'm going to apply and share. So basically today was just a sharing podcast of how you could become the better you. And these are just a few steps. I'll share shorter ones next time. But I just want to let you know that this is really working for me and I really hope it works for you. Thank you. Now, again, this is Ruth with Strike Adversity, and you have listened to my podcast. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram with Ruth Saenz. That is RUTHSAENZ. And send me a DM if there's something that you want me to cover. Now you can either find me on Instagram, TikTok, or you can find me on Facebook. You have a great day.